like a king who's on a budget. 3 tasty options, fries, drink, and nuggets, all for $5. Wait, that can't be right. Just confirm that that's the real price. BK, have it your way.
Before we dive into the total chaos down in Miami, we got to talk about a different kind of fire. And today's show is fueled by our great friends over at Burger King. Look, the Dolphins might be cutting Tyreek, but Burger King is adding the heavy hitters. You guys need to try the new Ultimate Steakhouse Whopper. I've been saying this for weeks. It was actually inspired by fans, over 600,000 of you. And it's loaded with golden onion rings, crispy bacon, sauteed mushrooms. And I'm telling you, man, that creamy peppercorn aioli, it is basically a Pro Bowl roster on a toasted sesame bun. Whether you're celebrating a Super Bowl win or mourning your team's salary cap, do it with a Flame Grilled Classic. Head over to the Burger King app, order the Ultimate Steakhouse Whopper, and have it your way. Now, let's get into these cuts. Welcome into Leatherbrainz Podcast. I am your host, Slapdog, and if you thought the offseason was going to be quiet, you have not been paying attention. We are officially in the danger zone of the NFL calendar. Rosters are being gutted, legends are being cut, and the landscape of the league is shifting beneath our feet as we speak. We are live today breaking down the absolute chaos of the roster purge, looking at who's hitting the open market, and later in the show, it is time for the 2026 Leatherbrainz Award. I know why everybody is sitting here. You're wondering, why, Slapdog, you're looking so handsome, you're looking so fly. We're handing out the best hardware to the best, the worst, and the most unlikable figures in the game. But right now, I've got to bring in my co-host, the man who has never met a hot take he didn't like, my very good friend, my brother, Alan Casanova Castro.
Yo.
Alan, the league year doesn't even start for a few weeks, but the vibes right now feel like a total reset for half of the teams in the NFL. When you see these massive names that are getting cut on a random Monday, do you think GMs are finally getting smarter about the salary cap, or are we just watching the teams kind of in a panic mode and throw the baby out with the bathwater?
I mean, maybe both, depending on what team you're talking about. I think the stuff in Miami is, those salaries were not sexy. And Tyreek with his knee, they just need to go a completely different direction. But it does seem like a lot of teams, this offseason seems fun for everybody because it literally doesn't matter if you just won the Super Bowl like the Seahawks, you were almost there like the Rams, or you're trying to come back like the Chiefs or at the bottom. Everybody's working on a ton of stuff with the salary cap, even going up. There's going to be a lot of fun storylines. You talk about signing, trades. When we get closer to the draft, it's going to be fun. Like I'm excited for this offseason because I think this is going to be one of the few. This is going to be one of the few off seasons where you don't have like 3 teams. You're like, all right, well, who's going to catch them? Everybody's kind of planning for a few years out. It's like I think there's precedent being set with the last 2 Super Bowl winners being quarterbacks that I think people are like, okay, maybe not the best,
sure,
but if you can build a team around it, and I think a lot of teams are going to start emulating that. So I wouldn't be shocked to see somebody like Tua being out the door soon, and I wouldn't be shocked about a lot of teams just restructuring and feeling like, all right, let's just build at the lines and do this all over again. And so I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be really fun. I know, the season winding down, a lot of people are sad about the NFL, but like honestly, like this is when you start to get all the juicy details and rumors.
It is.
And so
it's
a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time for sure.
It 100% is. And you mentioned Tua. Let's start with Miami. And like I mentioned, we are doing the award show. So anybody who's tuned in, at the very end here, we are going to be handing out the awards that you guys have chosen. So you guys all voted on these different awards. And we're going to be breaking that down at the end. But before we jump ahead of the gun here, let's talk about Miami. So Dolphins dominated the headlines today and yesterday with a massive roster teardown under their new head coach, Jeff Hafley, and their new general manager, John Eric Sullivan. So they cleared over $56 million in cap space in a single afternoon. Tyreek Hill was released. And this, you could argue this is the biggest bombshell. He's coming off a major leg injury, and the team moved on from him before they were guaranteed to pay him an $11 million guarantee. Bradley Chubb, the 2-time Pro Bowler, is also out. And then you mentioned this already, Tua. Reports are kind of circulating that the Dolphins are officially looking to move on from Tua via trade or release if they can't find a trade candidate for him. Were you surprised by any of this news coming out of Miami?
No. I mean, this is something they had to do. You have to hit the reset button. What they were doing obviously wasn't working. And then obviously, getting rid of the head coach and moving on. Like this makes sense. This is what you should be doing. You should be clearing up cap space to figure out how do you start from the bottom and, not totally bottom, but I think this just provides them more wiggle room to do what they want. The other thing that I don't want people to freak out about is, and I don't think these two names are going to come back to Miami, but you're going to hear a lot of names that either get released or cut, or they try to do a restructure. I mean, don't be shocked if some of those guys just go back on like a better team deal. It can happen. I think these two guys are going to try to contenders or quote unquote contenders will probably try to pick these two up. Tyreek, maybe a little more shocking, more just in name value, but I think just the leg injury, his age, and then the comments he made, was it last year where he's like, I'm probably going to play a few years anyways. It's like, yeah, that money did not make sense to go to him. So for that value, yeah, that made sense for the Dolphins to just move on and be like, all right,
the Bradley Chubb one was kind of interesting just because, I mean, he's a good defensive player. The Tyreek one, I'm not surprised by it. And I think we all kind of saw the writing on the wall because Tyreek is Tyreek. He's kind of crazy. This team does need a lot of, rebuilding assets, and he is a depreciating asset on this team as far as his availability and usability. Does he come back to the Chiefs, Alan? I mean, does he come home to you?
If I'm the Chiefs, I would say no. I would say hard pass.
Sure.
I think
he's what, 33, 32, 33?
Yeah, 30.
He's 31.
31.
He'll be 32 in March.
That's the fall off we see for wide receivers. It's kind of
100%.
That range is when you start to see that drop. And his knee injury, like Tyreek's whole game is predicated on being the fastest, twitchiest person out there. And you don't know what kind of Tyreek you're going to get back. I mean, I could see it. I just saw Chris Jones was tweeting at Tyreek saying, "You coming home?" And my first thought was, Chris, you might not be there either. So I don't know.
This might not be your home.
You might also not be there. So I don't know what you're tweeting about. I don't think the Chiefs will do that. I think the Chiefs want to go a different direction overall. I don't know though, but bringing Eric Bieniemy back, if there's anybody that seemed to wrangle everybody together, I mean, just kind of do it one more time. It sounds like Travis Kelce is going to come back for one more year.
Do you think that's the right move?
Yeah. I mean, he was still one of the top tight ends from production this past year. I mean, you can't sneeze at that. I think if you looked at his 1,000 yards, this 1,000 yards per season, that run that he was on, he's definitely not that. But I mean, he's still serviceable. I mean, he's still one of the upper tier tight ends in the league. Is he the best?
Slow.
No. He's slower. But I think what he gives that team, they shouldn't be needing his speed at this point. They should have figured it out. And I think that's what the Chiefs are struggling with, is how do we get people in here that can do it? You got, Xavier Worthy isn't panning out. Rashee Rice, maybe. But a part of this was the coaching staff, which they've also overhauled. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions there. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up somewhere like
the Titans?
Sacrilegious to say, but like, what if the Bills picked him up? What if the Bills signed him to a friendly
That would be a
deal
very Bills-esque move, but like the Bills have tried this before. I mean, they tried it with Amari Cooper, and like he was an aging asset that didn't end up panning out. And realistically, what the Bills need to do, look, Tyreek's going to sign somewhere. He's going to play somewhere. He's going to be on roster somewhere. Like I really do believe that. Now, that team-friendly deal certainly comes into play, and the Bills, I wouldn't hate it, but like he is coming off this leg injury, and the Bills, they desperately need weapons that are not 32 years old coming off a major leg injury. So for me, I'm like, man, I can see it.
If I could say you're going to get a 85-90% Tyreek Hill of what he was, then how attractive is that?
That's very attractive, but
do you think you'll get that?
Realistically, no, I don't, and that's the problem that I see in this particular situation. There are teams that are desperately needing wide receivers, and the free agent market this offseason is very desolate at the wide receiver position. You have Alec Pierce and you have George Pickens, and so like those, the wide receiver well is not very deep as far as free agents are concerned. So yeah, I think Tyreek is an option that people are definitely going to look at because the market right now is not great for it. And the other thing is then you're sitting here looking at, do I have anything I can get in the draft? And so it's not a good market, and that's why I do think Tyreek will find a home.
He'll get picked up after the draft, right?
Yeah. I think
teams
so.
will go through draft, figure out what they got, and then bring him in and figure out how his rehab's going.
It's all going to depend on his agent too, because if his agent sits here and says, "Well, I got offers from this, and this. Like, what are we doing here?" Like it. So realistically, if teams were smart, yes, you wait till after the draft because you want to see if you can hit on some of these guys and wheel and deal. But there might be a team that gets desperate enough where they pull the trigger prematurely.
I think had he not had that leg injury and they just released him and he's healthy, I think he goes well before the draft. I think obviously somebody's going to pick him up. I think that leg injury though, that is pause. That is give you a little pause.
At 32, gives me some pause.
And it wasn't just like a leg injury. That was like just ripped to shreds. That was horrific. Yeah. So
I want to pivot over while we're still kind of on this Miami train here, and let's have a conversation about Tua, because when Tua signed his contract, I think amongst the Leatherbrainz team, we all audibly laughed, and we were like, are you serious? Tua is not worth this. We knew it, and now the Dolphins are seeing that come to fruition where they're like, no, this guy's not worth it, and we have to pay him an exorbitant amount of money, and he was benched. He was not playing well last year. Is there any team that is Tua a favorable option for anybody in your mind as far as the quarterback landscape in this offseason?
Not through trade. I know they really want to do a trade. I would just be hard pressed. I just don't know what they would even get for him because not only was he ass, he had the concussion problems. So you have a guy that is injury prone, quote unquote, with his concussion problems, and he's ass. So now what do you do? Like what? He had glimpses where he could be serviceable. I think he could be stashed as a backup somewhere, but I don't think he's going to start anywhere in the league next year. That's just my gut. Unless something catastrophic happens to some team, I just don't see him starting somewhere.
Oh, well, let's put a bookmark in this, and let's kind of go over to the free agent and the cut season market, because there's some more quarterbacks, and I kind of want to have this conversation as a giant conglomeration of quarterbacks. So Kyler Murray, rumors are heating up with the Cardinals that they're ready to move on. He has a $19.5 million salary for 2027 on the guarantee, and that is guaranteed on March 15th. That's a drop dead date. So if he is off roster, the Cardinals save $20 million in cap there. And then there's another quarterback, Kirk Cousins, the Falcons. After the restructuring his deal in January, Cousins is probably going to hit free agency. Michael Penix, he's kind of fully entrenched as this starter for the Falcons moving forward. Kirk Cousins is 38 years old, but you have three quarterbacks. Not great options, but you have three quarterbacks that are kind of on that free agent market. And if you look at the quarterback landscape for the NFL right now, there's not a lot of spots for these quarterbacks to go, which I guess is a good problem to have for NFL teams. But the only teams that come to mind for me are the Jets, who Justin Fields rumors are swirling. He went 2-7 as a starter with the Jets, is as good as gone. And cutting him saves $10 million, which Aaron Glenn kind of probably wants for defensive reinforcements and also to probably pay a different actual quarterback instead of a running back with the quarterback title. So the Jets need a quarterback, and you could argue maybe the Browns, but I'm trying to think of teams that are like, who are going to take a shot on these kind of, and the Cardinals and the Dolphins, who are both moving on from their quarterbacks. Yeah. So, the landscape isn't great for any of these guys in landing spots, and the majority of these guys are probably going to be bridge transition quarterbacks for the future of whoever these teams draft down the road. So,
correct.
I mean, given all this quarterback talk, is there anyone that tickles your fancy if you were looking for a quarterback, or anything, any happiness in this bleak existence for these gentlemen?
I think if you're Kyler Murray's interesting because you don't know how much of that has been the coaching turnover, how much has been I think that is an interesting name for some teams. And if I am somebody like the Jets, that almost seems worth it, because I think there is still something there in the tank with Kyler Murray. I think he still offers you something more than any of those other quarterbacks do, or Miami. Whomever wants is looking at here's my option if I'm going to go the free agent route. That is obviously you're rolling the dice with all this stuff because you don't actually know anything. You're like, maybe he does suck. Who fucking knows?
He's got a shitty attitude.
Yeah. But that one's interesting. Kirk Cousins, man. I mean, he just hasn't been the same since he left Minnesota. He's been I don't how healthy he's been when besides, I don't know if that's for you. I
think I've lost you. Think I lost you there, Alan. While you reconnect here, so there's some other free agents that are not the quarterback position that are kind of generating some buzz right now. We've got Joe Mixon, expected to be a cap casualty after not playing all of last season with that non-football related injury. Not only do we have Joe Mixon, but we've got Alvin Kamara. He's kind of the face of the franchise for the Saints. He takes almost a $19 million cap hit with career low production this last season. I expect them to move on from Alvin Kamara. TJ Hockenson is another one with the Vikings. He carries almost a $22 million cap hit. This is the highest for a tight end in the league. And after a quiet couple of seasons post ACL surgery and the emergence of some other weapons and question marks at the quarterback position, Minnesota might designate a cut for him. They save almost $16 million there. Another tight end being Cole Kmet. The arrival of Colston Loveland, the rookie sensation, has made Kmet's $10 million salary kind of look like a luxury that Chicago perhaps shouldn't or cannot afford. I think he's a great trade candidate and or cut, depending. I mean, this is a new regime under the Bears. And then Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for the Titans. The Titans desperately need a wide receiver help, and Calvin Ridley was not the answer. And I think we were very vocal about that as soon as that signing was done. New coaching staff between Robert Salah, Brian Dable is the offensive mind there. I mean, they could save almost $18.5 million by moving on from him. So, any of these shockers to you, or conversation around any of these jabronis?
No, Hawkinson's good. It sucks about the ACL, just these injuries. I really liked Hockenson. Kmet too. I think there's just interesting stashes for teams that need to fill some spots. They could find themselves into some really good situations. Honestly, I think it's probably a positive thing for a lot of these guys to cut and move on and find a new home.
Kamara is seeing the end of his train, and I think Ridley is as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Ridley, I'm just not a huge Ridley guy. I know some podcast guys are, but not me.
I'm not. No. And I think Joe Mixon's probably done as well. I think he's seen his time. I think he'll get maybe a 1-year contract as maybe a backup and maybe a little bit of gas in the tank. But and Justin Fields, I think he is relegated to backup duties for the rest of his career.
I don't know. Yeah, that might be it.
Real Fatal B says Low-key forgot how Tyreek broke his knee.
It was like how he did it. It was on the sideline. It got caught and twisted underneath him, and it was like all twisted up and gross. Go Google it. It was bad.
Twisted up and gross. I don't Google it, but don't share it here, please. That's disgusting. Yeah. But we don't root for injuries. And then the last thing here is the franchise tag. So it officially opens tomorrow, which is kind of exciting. And I'm expecting names like George Pickens, I think, is a huge candidate for that franchise tag. I think he really was a key component for that Dallas offense. And so, and the thing too is, as I mentioned earlier in the show, with how desolate the wide receiver position is in free agency, he could be a tag and trade candidate. I could certainly see that. And another one, potentially Breece Hall. Kenneth Walker comes to mind for me as well for the franchise tag. So expect maybe some things to start happening as early as tomorrow with the franchise tag window opening up. So anything else on any of this before we jump over to the award show, Alan?
No, this is the fun time. A lot of names.
There's a lot of names, but I don't want to break anybody's heart. Before we get into the award ceremony, got to give a shout out to our sponsor.
This combo meal's got combinations. Make this thing your own creation. Entree, drink, and choice of sides. Oh, and it's free to swap fries. BK, have it your way.
God, I just love that jingle. All right, we are seconds away from handing out the most prestigious and most hated awards in football, the Leatherbrainz Awards. But first, got to give a quick shout out to the King, baby. If you're watching this with the future NFL stars of the house, Burger King just dropped the most nostalgic collab of the year. I'm talking the $3.99 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles King Jr. meals. They're back. And we're talking collectible TMNT toys. We got Leonardo, Michelangelo, the whole freaking squad, plus a burger, fries, and a drink for under $4. In this economy, that's a bigger steal than a fifth-round franchise quarterback. I'm looking at you. Well, I was going to say Dak, but he was in the 5th round. Plus, Royal Perks members, don't forget it's Whopper Wednesday. Grab an original for just $3.99 in the app. Get your food, get your crown, and get back here because we're about to name the biggest bust of 2025. Burger King, baby, you rule. Let's jump into the awards. We've got a great award show that was voted on by the fans. So we're going to start with the biggest one here, NFL Man of the Year. I don't think we need to give any more explanation as to the Man of the Year and what that fully entails. So our candidates today, Alan, are you ready for this? We got Stephon Diggs, Rashee Rice, James Pierce Jr., and Jordan Addison as Man of the Year candidates. Now, what I'm going to do is before I tell you who won these awards, I'm going to ask you who you think should win this award, and we'll do that kind of all the way down here for all these different superlatives.
Love it. I love it. I mean, what a list of names. What a cast we have here. Everybody's
all great human beings, all great men.
Yeah.
That represent the league
stand-up
well.
Citizens.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, for me, it's got to be Diggs. I mean, very rarely do you date Cardi B, break up with Cardi B at the Super Bowl, choke your chef, and win. You're an AFC champion. That's tough to do. That's tough to balance all of that activity outside and off the football field, and then come in and be a part of this
and go to the
that,
Super Bowl. Yeah,
was at the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, to me, if there's anybody that's like time management Man of the Year. Like, how do you
James Pierce Jr. I don't know why he was. Do you know?
Yeah, he was the one that. Yeah, he was the guy that just was like assaulted his girlfriend and then crashed his car. And
yeah. Okay.
He's got to be a late addition to this list, to this award. But he garnered enough attention at the end there he really wanted it.
He was like, get me in this Leatherbrainz.
I win this award.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Stephon Diggs. Like the whole, I mean, it's been a thing for years now, but in the off season, he's got some questionable substances on Cardi B's yacht that he's passing around, and then it just snowballed into even worse things. So, the award for NFL Man of the Year, chosen by the Brainiacs, was Stephon Diggs.
Congrats,
Stephon Diggs. You are in fact the Man of the Year here at Leatherbrainz. We appreciate your contributions to this prestigious award. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing great, and we're all
maybe don't keep doing what you're doing. Maybe find something else. Get a hobby, puzzle, do something.
All right, next award here that we got, Alan, is the Pamela Anderson Award. And I know what most people that are listening and not actually viewing us, they're making a mistake by not looking at us in our wonderful award attire. The Pamela Anderson Award goes to the biggest bust. So this could be fantasy football. This could be NFL. We kind of put a bunch of different candidates on here to let the Brainiacs really decide. And the candidates for the Pamela Anderson Biggest Bust Award are A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, Jerry Jeudy, or the Ravens' entire defense, Alan. Now, if you had to choose who you would think should win this award, who should it be for you?
The Ravens defense, that's tough. They all got hurt. I don't know if that counts. For me personally, if I had to pick one, it's going to be Xavier Worthy, just because I'm selfish. Because
you're a Chiefs fan.
Week 1, he lets Travis Kelce break his shoulder in half, and then he proceeds to do nothing for the rest of the year. So for me, it's like, come on, man. You want Travis Kelce back. Now he's been more of a liability for the Chiefs' offense than he has.
True. He's injured. I think he hurt Rashee Rice too.
Yeah, he single-handedly ruined 2 games this past year. So maybe Kelce should hang him up.
Maybe should. Maybe should.
AJ Brown's interesting.
AJ Brown.
I don't think
who I would
AJ
vote
Brown's
for.
fault. Yeah,
I don't either, and that's why I ultimately wouldn't vote for him, because I think Patullo, the shitty former Eagles offensive coordinator, played a really big hand in why that offense looks so dilapidated. So I don't know. I'll just give it to AJ Brown. But I'm going to let you know the Brainiacs voted for Jerry Jeudy as the biggest bust of the year. So he won this award by a landslide in comparison to the other candidates. So Jerry Jeudy has been awarded the Pamela Anderson Award here at Leatherbrainz for the biggest bust.
That's got to be just because the year before he went off, and then he
but
shriveled
like,
into
and
nothing.
this is where I don't know if this is also fair, because like there's been so much quarterback turnover,
Right.
and like the Browns are just a dumpster fire in general.
Right.
I think a lot of people anticipated Jerry Jeudy to have a very great year because there was no other options, and then he still didn't.
From a fantasy perspective, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
where you drafted him, you likely
You didn't
hosed
get anything
yourself.
on.
Yeah,
you didn't
that
get
was
anything on return
nothing.
there. Okay, well, congratulations, Jerry Jeudy. You are the
job.
biggest bust. Golf claps for you. Yep, well done. Well done.
Job, Jerry.
This next award, Alan, I really love this award. It is the Besides Eli Apple Award. And for those of you who don't know who Eli Apple is, he is one of the most unlikable players in the NFL. So that is what this award is the most unlikable player in the league. And our candidates we have 5. We have Eli Apple, of course, Deshaun Watson, Stephon Diggs, making another appearance, Nick Bosa, and Jalen Carter. Amongst all of these, Alan, who gets your vote?
It'll probably just forever be Deshaun Watson as long as he's in the league.
Yep.
I mean,
yep. That's the right answer.
That
But
dude for
also, you
multiple
can't.
reasons.
Yeah, you can't sleep on Eli Apple. I mean,
No,
he
I mean he is
titled
still
after
there.
it.
That is interesting. I would say Deshaun Watson, 1, for just being a creep, and then 2, basically robbing the city of, Cleveland, just sitting there doing nothing.
Just blindly. I mean,
Just-
just blindly.
with a smile. I mean, I'm going to be honest. If I were him, I'd do the same thing and be like, "Fuck, I'm not playing. Cool, whatever. Cash that check." You
Got
know what?
the
A,
cheddar,
what,
baby.
what the life? Everybody's just mad because they can't do it. But for me, I mean, interesting seeing Stephon Diggs. Maybe he could go. He could be a 2-time. I don't know if we've ever had that at Leatherbrainz where we've had
We haven't.
a single player win multiple awards in the
No.
same award season. Could
Well,
be.
I'm gonna let you know. It's safe. So Stephon Diggs
Okay.
did not win this
He did
award.
not win it.
Deshaun
Okay.
Watson did, and he also had my vote, by the way. So,
Yeah.
It went Deshaun Watson with the majority. Next up was Eli Apple, of course, because he's a piece of shit.
Of course.
And then number 3 was Stephon Diggs. So
okay.
we're safe. We're safe.
Okay. Well, yeah,
we did not
Deshaun,
get that.
that was easy as long as he's still in the league. I wonder how many people remember, if you're just like a casual NFL fan, that Deshaun Watson still exists.
I remember because I have his jersey in my closet, and I'm
I'm
embarrassed.
saying
about it.
you're more in the know. That doesn't
That's
count.
true.
But I'm just saying, like, guys hanging around, like, they'd be like, if I said the name Deshaun Watson, they'd be like, did he retire? Like, I don't wonder how many people would even know he's still sitting there collecting a paycheck.
I was thinking about this the other day when I was so I don't know why I was thinking about it, but I was like, Will Fuller. Like, whatever happened to Will Fuller? And like but then you start thinking about it, because we're plugged into the NFL and we talk about guys like Christian Kirk. Like, he's somebody that we know. He's on the Texans right now. We know he was with the Cardinals, and then he's kind of flip-flopped around. He was with the Jags for a little bit. Eventually, he's going to get phased out, and everybody's going to forget about him. Kenyon Drake. Like, some of these names, you could just pull names out of a hat, and it's like...
We should do this one of these because guys we just love naming names of players that used to be there and used to draft.
We're not
That's
talking like the Derrick Henrys and like the Hall of Famers. Like, we're talking about the guys that they were gritty. I mean, they might have won you a fantasy football week, and then all of a sudden they're now selling insurance.
That's a fun thing to do, actually, is to go back and look at some of your old, if you're in redrafts, just go back and look, and then look at the end of the season because injuries happen. And the randomest, most, who the hell was this? Why did I even pick him up? Like, that's probably one of the funnest things to do, to be like, man, I was down bad. I don't even know who this is.
Yeah.
He was on my roster.
Yeah. But as far as the Besides Eli Apple Award, congratulations, Deshaun Watson. You are
Congrats,
the
Deshaun.
most unlikable player, you piece of shit.
You did it. Hard work.
All right. Next, literally. Okay, the Strike One Award. So this is the player that burned you this year, Alan, but you're still relatively high on. And I love this award every year because it's really strikes home for the believers out there. And our 5 candidates are Travis Hunter, Kyle Pitts, which I'm pretty sure Scotty, I mean, he had to throw that one in there, Lamar Jackson, Ricky Pearsall, and Amarian Hampton. So we've got 5 candidates here. What player are you still high on out of this group? The highest.
That I'm still
The
high.
highest.
Honestly, we didn't discuss this. We didn't. So this might be a good time. You saw the news of Travis Hunter where they said he's probably going to be more
did.
cornerback now
I
than.
did. And you have him in Dynasty League, and I was sitting there thinking, like, that sucks.
Well, I drafted him knowing that. Like, that was always a possibility. It wasn't like, oh, he's going to be the all-pro wide receiver. It's just like, he's a freak athlete. If he ends up being something on offense, it's worth it. If not, whatever. That's interesting. So I would say I'm not high on him just with that news. I'm just like, well, I don't even know what you're going to be. You know, but I mean, we've seen players like that, like Rashid Shaheed, where it's like he comes in and does things like in a pinch. So I'm hopeful maybe there. Kyle Pitts, no. Lamar Jackson's interesting. Ricky Pearsall, I can't. If you've been shot and you come back and play, you pretty much are exempt from being ridiculed ever. So Ricky Pearsall gets a pass. Omarion Hampton, I don't know. I mean, he was hurt, wasn't he? Did I make that up? He was hurt. So that doesn't count.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I think Lamar Jackson.
He probably burned. I mean, I had him in some redraft leagues, and he certainly burned me with where I took him in ADP.
I guess that makes sense. I guess he would be one on there. Depending on when you took Lamar Jackson, I'm going to take Lamar just because I think a lot of people are really down on him, and I think people are going to forget. He also wasn't very healthy. I'm wondering if he can get back, but that's somebody under new leadership. You're not going to have Harbaugh anymore. I'll be interested to see if that is like a jolt or a shot in the arm for a lot of these players just to get something new because they look very bored with everything. I'm going to take Lamar, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lamar had won this.
Lamar did not win this. He was actually the least. So I guess... I mean, he had to have burned a lot of people. So why you're not still high on Lamar is interesting. But the Brainiacs chose this. The Travis Hunter thing is very interesting. And I could kind of see the writing on the wall because you saw Parker Washington like just kind of like eclipse what Hunter had done in his short span, and like that wide receiver room got a lot more full, and I was like, I think they're going to pivot him over to, and I still think he'll be involved, but not nearly as much as he probably wants to be. Kyle Pitts doesn't belong on this list because he's burned you for years and years and years, and then at the very end he just had like he's going to get himself a fine contract this offseason, which is exciting and interesting. I'm going to take Omarion Hampton. That's my vote because I had him. He burned me. I was sad because I was really excited for it, and to be honest, Omarion Hampton won this award. He was number one. Travis Hunter was number two. And then you had Ricky Pearsall and Kyle Pitts and Lamar at the bottom. So the Brainiacs have chosen Omarion Hampton. I'm high on him. I really am. I think it was just, you can't predict injuries. It sucks. But let's give a big golf clap to our Strike One award player, Omarion Hampton. Congratulations.
Congrats, Omarion. We'll get your trophy here soon.
Yeah, well, it'll be in the mail. Heart Attack Hero Award. So this is for a quarterback who plays like a blindfolded gambler. They throw 3 interceptions and 3 touchdowns every Sunday. You don't know what to expect on any given week. They play like they're insane, and they don't know what cards they have, but they're going to They're going to go all in. And so the quarterbacks that we have here are Trevor Lawrence. You gotta love Jameis Winston. I mean, anytime he's on the field, he is the heart attack hero. Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud are the 4 candidates for the Heart Attack Hero Award. Alan, who are you taking?
I'm excited to hear your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence. For me, it's got to be, I don't think he was, maybe Trevor, but Caleb Williams for me. You look at each game, and it was like, for 3 quarters, you have no idea what's going on, and things are just kind of flying all over the place. And then it seemed like this year, it's like he took the whole game to remember how to play the quarterback position. And then in the 4th quarter, it was like, oh, yeah, let me put all this shit right back together. Let me put this right back together. This is how you throw a dime from 60 yards away. And he did it. And so to me, that's what I think, especially this year, considering how the season turned out for the Bears, is kind of like he was just out there.
He is 100%. Look, I'll always vote for Jameis Winston because I love the man to death. But if I'm being real, Caleb Williams would be who I would pick for the exact same reasons that you just mentioned. It's like the guy can't throw a 10-yard ball in the flats, but he can throw a laser 40 yards downfield in triple coverage in like the tightest window and get it done. And it's like, what the where did this come from? So Caleb Williams also has my vote. Trevor Lawrence, I think he was blindfolded for the majority of the year, and then like at the very end decided to take his blindfold off and play like a decent NFL quarterback. I still don't like the guy. I don't believe in him as a quarterback, but it's hard to sit there and argue with the results that they got at the end of the year. what I'm interested in moving into next year for the Jaguars is, can Liam Cohen find that consistency with Trevor Lawrence? Because that's my biggest problem with him, is he's not consistent enough. And that's why he belongs on this list of the heart attack heroes, because that consistency is a concern. And really, I mean, that's a problem with a lot of these quarterbacks, is just it really comes down to, can you consistently play at a high level or at any level? And for Trevor, he didn't for a large part of the year, and then he kind of found it towards the end of the season. I'm interested to see, does that translate into next season? So, but I'm giving it to Caleb Williams. Unfortunately, he did not win this one. It was actually C.J. Stroud who won the Heart Attack Hero Award for quarterback who plays like a blindfolded gambler. And I could kind of see the reasoning here, because when you, I mean, we've all watched Texans games this year. Well, I say we all, you and I have, and the problem was really their offensive line. And so he did look very scared. We haven't seen CJ Stroud play at a high level since his rookie season. And a part of that is, I really do think, due to his offensive line, but it's like, is he ever going to figure it out? So he did win this award. Caleb Williams came in second, and our boy Laser Jameis took third with Trevor Lawrence.
My man.
Gotta love him. Gotta love him. So congratulations.
Congrats.
CJ Stroud, the heart attack hero. You are causing a lot of chaos for your organization and your fans. The next award here is the I'm just here so I don't get fined award. You gotta love Marshawn. So this award is for the player or coach who gave the most painfully awkward, or the, I'd rather be anywhere else press conference. So this is a fun one, and we have quite a few candidates, and I really like a lot of these candidates. So first up, we have Mike McDaniel, former head coach for the Dolphins. We have Pete Carroll, former head coach for the Raiders. We have Terry Palua. I think I said that right. He's the Bills owner. And then we have Raheem Morris. So those are our four candidates, four wonderful candidates. Who should win this award?
These are hilarious. I don't remember any Pete Carroll press conference. Like, I don't know if he ever talked. I'm going to be honest. The Raiders, I kind of forgot played this season.
I think Raiders fans kind of feel the same way.
I kind of forgot they played. McDaniels was always hilarious because he was just dead man walking. All those press conferences were just so funny.
He was close to keeping his job. You were almost freaking right.
I know. I kind of wanted to just see the chaos, like what would happen in Miami, but they got an out. They got to fire him. To me, it's got to be Terry Pagula, the Bills owner, because of the hot mics, just chiming in and just.
So for anybody who doesn't know what happened there, why don't you give them a little bit of a recap?
Yeah, so this was after they had lost the brutal playoff game to the Broncos, and they had just fired Sean McDermott, and they were having this press conference. So it was Brandon Beane and it was Terry, the owner, and they were talking about the season and what happened. And Terry made this comment about how the only reason they, drafted Keon Coleman was because the coaches wanted to. And mind you, Keon Coleman is still on the team, and he is he's still starter. He was playing, up and down year, and Terry was they were just saying the most wildest shit ever. And if I was a head coach, I would look at that and be like, that's my boss. Like, that's who I'm going to have to talk to about this shit. Like, that is absolutely insane. It was just unhinged. You could tell they were all just so butthurt about losing that game to Denver in Denver. I mean, writing was on the wall for the Bills. It was for the taking. This AFC, you look at that Super Bowl. I mean, it would have looked a lot better with Josh Allen in it, trying his hardest. He probably still would have lost, but it at least would have looked a little better than.
It would have been more entertaining.
Yeah, than whatever the hell that was that we watched. But yeah, I thought Terry just total unhinged comments about the coaching staff and players still on the roster that did it for me.
That one, hands down. There's no justify. Mike McDaniel is hilarious because, just like you mentioned, he's a dead man walking. I always thought, until I saw Hard Knocks, he just likes to fuck with reporters, and he doesn't take it seriously. And then after seeing him in Hard Knocks, I was like, oh no, that's just him. He's just a really weird dude. But the Terry, the owner of the Bills, if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend any of you out there listening, go watch it, because it is the most, I'm sitting there cringing just listening to it, and I'm like, this is real? It was insane.
It was almost like if you have a relative, a really old grandpa or uncle that just says the most wild shit at dinner, but you're just
like
kind
the
of
most
well,
racist, heinous.
That's
things.
Terry. That almost felt like everybody in the room was like, "Fucking Terry again." He's just out here talking. It's like what that whole thing was. I just couldn't believe it. If I'm Keon Coleman, I'm like, I'm out of here, man. Like,
yeah, like that's not going to inspire me to wake up in the morning and go try my best. Like, are you fucking kidding me? The GM literally saying like we didn't fucking want this guy. But he didn't win the award. Terry did not. It was actually Mike McDaniel. It was Mike McDaniel, Pete Carroll, Raheem Morris, and then Terry Palula. So I was very surprised at that because Terry had my vote, but the people chose Mike. So
Mike gets it.
That one, at least if it wasn't Terry, it should have been Mike, and it was Mike. So, congratulations, Mike McDaniel. The I'm just here so I don't get fined award goes to you. Congratulations, Mike. We will send that award out in the mail. And the next award here is the Surrender Cobra Award. This is for the coach whose decisions consistently make his own fans put their hands on their heads in pure disbelief. And I think we've got a great slew of coaches here for this award. We have at the top, Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, Kevin Stefanski, and Pete Carroll as the 4 candidates for this award. Alan, who do you give the award to?
I'm just going to rip the band up. It's got to be Dan Campbell this year.
It's got to be.
When you make wild decisions, it's fine when you're winning. When you make wild decisions and you're not winning, everybody's going to scratch their head and be like, what are we doing? And I think to me, even just like the play calling this year, just everything. And I like Dan Campbell. I am not like Scotty where I'm just going to take the steamiest shits on everything he does. I think this year for him, Pete Carroll's too old. He's just senile. He's just kind of like, okay. Yeah. And I don't think Ben Johnson or Stefanski necessarily need to be on here. In my opinion, like I don't think they did a ton that warranted.
Ben Johnson went for it on 4th down a few times.
He did, but like I said, when it's working or it works in the end, or the sum of it gets you to where you need to get to, I think they did. This season was pretty much like a gold star for the Bears, for that organization. So I'm not going to put that. But for the Lions, I look at the other way. I'm like, oof, this is not how it should have ended up. And I know a large part of that isn't necessarily due to Dan, but I don't think he helps them when they are obviously teetering and struggling, trying to make the playoffs. So I'm going to give it to Dan.
Yeah, I also like Dan Campbell a lot. I'm probably the biggest Dan Campbell supporter on this show, but I would be remiss if I did not also give him my vote for some of the head-scratching things that happen. And like you said, when it works and you're killing it and your team is doing really great, you can sit there and cheer and say this is the right call. But when it doesn't work, that's when you're going to put your hand on your head and be like, what are we doing? So Dan Campbell gets the award for me, and he also gets the award from the Brainiacs. So Dan Campbell, congratulations. I think he's really going to like putting this up in his mantle. The Surrender Cobra Award. It's got Cobra with a bandana on it that says surrender. So I think he's really going to like this one. Yeah. So congratulations to him. All right. Next award here is the Divorce Attorney Award. So this is for the player who single-handedly ruined a fan base's relationship with their own team. I like this one. This one's a fun one. So the 4 candidates that we have, Alan, we have Kyler Murray with the Arizona Cardinals. We have Russell Wilson for one play with the New York Giants. The Chiefs offensive tackles. And Tua turned the ball over as our 4 candidates here. Now, I'm going to ask you, are you going to vote for the Chiefs offensive tackles?
No, because it didn't ruin my relationship or the fan bases, I don't think.
Okay, so which one of these candidates deserves the award the most?
These are funny. I'm going to pick the funniest one just because it's got to be Russ Wilson. I don't know if you guys, if anybody's listening or you're watching, that one play when
Jackson Dart got hurt and went to the tent.
Yes, and Russell Wilson came in for one play and threw like the most god-awful pass I've ever seen, and everybody was like checking on Dart in the tent, like because they all were checking. Like Dayball went in, he's like, "You good to go? Can you please get back out here?"
Yeah, and then he got like fined. There was a lot of scrutiny because he was like, "You're not letting him go through the checks and balances," and it was like, as soon as Russell Wilson started warming up, the entire stadium started booing. It was hilarious.
That was also unhinged. Everybody was so pissed off. That was the funniest thing ever because it was literally like some innocuous plays, and they weren't great. But normally you're just like, all right, let's finish this out. We'll kick the field goal. Like, we'll figure this out. We'll figure out if Jackson's okay. And it was literally like in the middle of the drive, the play clock is running, and Daboll's like, please get back out.
Yeah.
That was one of the funniest moments of the year by far. That was so funny.
Yeah, that's who I would also vote for. Russell Wilson did not win the award. He took second place. Tua actually won the award. So I imagine there was quite a few Dolphins fans who came to the aid of this award. But I'm not surprised either. I mean, I would vote for Kyler Murray for personal reasons because it sucks. But
that's right. Yeah, that's a good one for you. I think Tua makes sense. I think this is also probably why this is why Tua is going to move, because these teams have to sell the future. You have to sell your fan base that like, hey, things are going to get better. And I think if they watch Tua roll back out there for another season, that gives you zero hope that things are ever going to get better.
Yeah, and if I was a Dolphins fan and they were like, yeah, we're going to stick with Tua, I would also want to bash my head against the wall because it's like this isn't working. It hasn't worked. Let's move on.
Not going to renew Red Zone again. I'll just save my money this year again.
Well, congratulations, Tua turned the ball over. You have won the Divorce Attorney Award, so we will send over that paperwork for you to sign after the show.
That's awesome.
And our last award, this is the Kim Kardashian Award, Alan. This is the Comeback Player of the Year Award. And we got some great candidates here. We have Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, Phillip Rivers, and Trevor Lawrence. Who's getting your award?
Oh, it's got to be Phil. It's got to be Rivers, man.
You can't not choose Phillip Rivers.
We're not even going to talk about anybody else. He was literally coaching high school football and came back and played. Like that has to be it.
He almost beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's honestly insane. Honestly insane. He should get, almost beating a team that just dismantled everybody. He should get the award, hands down.
Well, Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, those are great stories, and I think it seems like Joe Burrow
How many times can Joe Burrow win the Comeback Player of the Year award? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, it's like every other year. So next year he'll have a good year, and then the year after he'll get hurt. Correct. And then he'll have another chance to win it again. Yeah. So, but Phillip Rivers, that's just a hilarious story. It's just everybody was rooting for him, and unless you were playing, if you were playing the Colts, you were rooting for the Colts. Like you were just like, this is hilarious. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Well, and you know what? It was a good move by them because obviously Anthony Richardson, their backup, was also hurt, and it's like, let's at least get the people talking. And they did. It did. Yeah. NFL media was freaking circling like buzzards, and they were like, "Let's go."
If I was in Indianapolis and if Phillip was playing, and I happened to be there, I'm buying a ticket.
Like, why would you not? That? Yeah,
it would be amazing.
So, what a great business decision by the Colts to just say, "Fuck it, let's go get Phillip Rivers and throw him in." Smart. So, he did win the award. So it is a bust of Kim Kardashian. We will have that in the mail for you, Mr. Rivers. We appreciate you coming back and playing and showing us that it's probably a good choice for you to sit on the couch. That's it, Alan. That is the award ceremony. We are done. The 2025-2026 season is now officially wrapped.
Put a bow on it.
Amen, man. Amen.
Seahawks won it. We got what a year. What a year, man. A lot of shit happened this year.
A lot of shit did happen this year, and I'm so glad that I had you and Scotty along for the ride. And with that being said, we are going to take a break. We have been doing this for, what is it? Forever. Like we don't get a lot of breaks here at Leatherbrainz. So I want to say last year we were doing this for 40 episodes, and for probably longer than that. It was probably close to like almost 50. So we're going to take a break, Alan. We are going to take the rest of the month of February and all of the month of March off. So everybody who tunes in and listens to us, we got to take a break. We have other jobs other than sitting here podcasting, and we just need a well-deserved break because it is a lot of work providing our pretty faces on camera every single Monday night. So we're gonna take a break. All of February and all of March, we are taking a well-deserved break, and we will be back in April to cover all of the news that we may have missed in the interim. Go follow us on social medias. We will still be active over there. So our Instagram, our Twitter, all of that. We will be breaking down news and having conversation over there at Leatherbrainz. So go follow us over there. And Alan, I'm excited to take a breather and have a couple weeks off and enjoy time with family. because my wife, she's yelling at me and she wants me to come eat dinner with her. So, yeah. So appreciate it though. This was a fun year. I'm glad we were able to do it, and the awards turned out wonderful. And we will be back April, full steam ahead, breaking down. We'll have the draft at the end of April, and there will be a bunch of moving pieces and players throughout. So join us over on social media and hit the subscribe button wherever you might be at, whether it's YouTube, your podcast platform, and then if you hit the little bell when we go live again, you'll be able to listen to our sweet, sweet vocals on the airwaves. So, all right, Alan, let's get out of here, brother.
All right.
I love you. I appreciate you. This was fun. We
are
out.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tune into our new releases every week on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out leatherbrainz.com for all of your fantasy football needs. And remember, Brainiacs, a championship should be more than a fantasy.